All right, we are back on Morning Line. Final segment with our guest, Josh Horn. Lots of phone calls for you. Social Security, let's get to it. Next up is Judy. Good morning, Judy.
Yes.
Hi, how can we help you? Good morning. Go ahead, Judy.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, go ahead. What's your question?
My question is, I've been told at age 62, whether you file for Social Security or not, that there's papers that you have to fill out. Is that true?
So not at age 62. Some folks are continuing to work past age 65, either because their full retirement age now is 66 or even going on into 67, or they just are continuing to work. So at age 65, you want to file for Medicare. If nothing else, you want to file for Medicare Part A because it doesn't cost you anything, and like I said, but that starts at 65. But there's nothing to file at age 62.
Okay, all right then. I've just been misinformed about that. And then, are you penalized once you file for Social Security and you continue to work?
So if you file before your full retirement age, then there are basically a work restrictions or a work limit, earnings limit rather, that you have to be aware of or stay under if that's under your full retirement age. So if you file at age 62. Then the earnings limit, let's see, it went up just a little bit. The earnings limit this year is about $17,000. So if you go over $17,000 in gross wages or net profit, then you're going to be penalized a little bit. Basically, $1 for $2 offset for every dollar for any amount that you go over that $17,000 mark. So for somebody who's making $20,000, it may be worth it. If you're making $40,000, it probably isn't worth it because your benefit's pretty much going to be offset.
Okay, and one other question is, if you retire at 65, then is the income that you make unlimited?
Well, not at age 65, but whatever your full retirement age amount is. And so for
okay, at age 67 is what you're telling me, then it's unlimited.
Right, then after that, you make as much as you want to.
As much as you want. Now, it'll still be taxed, but it could also, though, because of that, maybe increase your payment as it bumps some of your lower ones like we were just talking about. But yeah, once you're full retirement age, you can go make $5 million a year, and it's not going to affect your benefit. All right, let's go next to Chris. Hello, Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you, Chris? What's your question?
Okay, I'm good. My husband just passed away in December. He was 62, and I will not be 60 until August. Am I eligible for anything?
So regular widow's benefits can start at age 60, like you mentioned. If you're disabled, then disabled widow's benefits can start as early as age 50. But unless you're disabled, then you're going to be looking at that age 60. And again, it also depends on your earnings if you're still working or not.
Okay, I'm not working. I was his full-time caregiver. He was on disability, the compassionate care.
So yeah, so you can start at age 60 drawing the widow's benefits, and then later on you can switch over, depending on, if it's more, you could actually switch over to your own record later on as it continues to grow at age 66, 67, or even as late as age 70.
Okay, and because I wasn't working on tax-wise, I still claim his disability checks. I'm not sure how that works.
So you're talking about like for this year?
Yes.
So I mean, so you probably have to talk to a tax accountant to see if there was enough to even file taxes on. It's kind of depends on the situation and how much total income and some of that kind of thing.
Okay.
And the fact is now, and her husband's passed, and I'm sorry for your loss too, ma'am. That means that once he's passed, that his disability check for him ceases.
Right.
But then she should, and obviously I'm sure Social Security is aware of the fact that he's passed on. So now her move now would be, if she chooses at 60, to apply for widow's benefits. And then that check will start separate from what she used to. Would it be more or less, do you think, or any way of knowing, than what he was drawing when he was disabled?
Yeah, so there's going to be a reduction for drawing it before the full retirement age.
Oh, okay.
Just like early retirement, it's basically early widows is what we're looking at. So if her full retirement age is 67 and she draws at age 66, or at age 60, there's going to be 7 years of reduction factors in there, which may be something that you want to consider. If you are able to go back to work, you might want to call us, get an estimate of how much it's even going to be at age 60, because there's going to be a pretty significant reduction, and then you can decide if you want to go back to work and let it grow a little bit.
All right, hope that helps. Thank you for your call, ma'am. Let's go next to Braley. Hi, Braley. Hello, Braley.
Kelly, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Certainly.
My question is for disability. My wife has been diagnosed with bipolar, schizophrenic, and neuropathy. I think that's how you say it. And so my question is, she's applied for disability 3 times, been denied 3 times. And someone told us that it would be best that she gets a lawyer. I don't know if that's the way we want to do it. Is there any way that we may maybe get her approved without a lawyer, or would that be the best way to do that? And I'm going to hang up and listen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Braley.
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple things to consider. One is you might want to call and talk to somebody at the Social Security office and kind of look at that notice together. They may be able to kind of point some things out. I'm not saying that this happened in this situation, but like sometimes we'll say, hey, did you realize you had a consultative examination and you missed it? Sometimes that's a factor, or there might be some other medical records that we weren't able to get, or something along those lines. But in addition to that, one question I would have for you is, did you actually appeal the decision, or did you just keep filing new claims? Remember that after you get a denial at any level, you have 60 days to file for an appeal. So if you send off to get an initial decision, it comes back denied. You've got 60 days to send in for a reconsideration. If that comes back denied, you got 60 days to go for a hearing before a law judge, and then you can go on from there. But a lot of folks get approved at the administrative law judge, and there's a few different reasons for that. So I want to make sure that you're filing up on your appeals. You do not have to have a lawyer. Some folks feel like it helps because a lawyer is able to kind of speak the language a little bit better, maybe help you look for things that you may not have realized in the past. But there's a lot of folks that get approved without them as well. So I hope that kind of helps you.
Yeah, that's good advice. Just in the years I've done this, just so I'll weigh in terms of a lawyer and how that works, and we talked about earlier, you don't have to pay a lawyer up front. They get 25% of your back pay, and you said it's been 2 years if it were approved, or $6,000. So you don't have to pay it. My take in all the calls and people like you have come on is that if you've done everything and you think you've covered all your bases and it still is no, then that's where I'd say, you know what, maybe a lawyer is going to catch something I missed. That's just my take, and maybe that'll help you. On the other hand, one thing you have to consider here as well, Braley, you may think she is, but it's entirely possible maybe for whatever reason your wife does not qualify as 100% disabled. And that may be another thing, that if that's the case, a lawyer is not going to be able to help you beyond that anyway. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's go next to Daniel, I believe. Hi, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hey.
Hey.
Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Josh.
Morning.
My question for Josh. Hello.
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. My question is, I was born in 1953, and I'm now 66 years old.
Okay. What's your question?
Okay. I was told at age 66 now, if I found a job, I could make as much money as I want to, and it wouldn't affect my Social Security check. Is that right?
That's right. Once you're over your full retirement age, there is no limit to your earnings. You can continue to make. You can make as much as you want to.
You got it.
All right. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Go get him. You got another job. That's more money in the bank. Good for him. Good for him. Let's go to. I think it was. I'm sorry. Do we have Sherry? Is there one more you wanted me to take, Rick? Okay. Oh, I think we just lost him. We just have. Okay, yeah, and Sherry hung up, so yeah, I guess that covers it. All right, so listen, we were up against it at the end there, and we got through most of the phone calls and kind of cut them off. All right, just wanted to hit a couple more things again. Why don't we put up that number? So many of you, and we get it to the newsroom, and Mary Elena can put it up, of the fraud line. You know, this is with the Office of the Inspector General, who, by the way, will look into this, and if they can catch some of these guys, they'll prosecute them. But at the very least, if you call them, they hopefully can put your mind at ease. Right?
Yeah, and they're always working and finding different things, and it's, you know, kind of, you know, sometimes they'll find some folks, but then as soon as they find those folks, some other ones pop up, and so it's a never-ending
These guys, the scam artists, they all do them on the phone or online, and oftentimes the calls are originating from outside the country. It is next to impossible to catch them, and once, if you make the mistake of sending off the money, that's gone forever, folks, and there's no insurance that's going to cover you for that, all right? So just don't do it, because once that money's gone, you can report it, you can find out it was a scam. No one's going to reimburse you unless they catch the culprits, and that never happens because they're out of here. They cover their bases, and their cyber police do their best, but that's why they're always issuing these warnings, because once the money's gone, it's overseas, and tracking it is next to impossible.
Yeah, the best tool that we have is educating you, which is what I'm here for, is trying to spread that word of, you know, when things are legit and when things are not legit. And so hopefully I've helped you this morning kind of identify that if you do get one of those calls, you know, please, and it does help to report it because they use those numbers and trying to figure out who's calling from where, and they're able to kind of identify, you know, like Nick said, most of them are outside the country. The ones that are inside the country, they're able to do a little bit more with.
Fool you.
Yeah. So
let me ask you this just real quick as we wrap things up. In those instances, what circumstance would Social Security contact you aside from responding to one of your calls? Would you contact an individual by mail, email, or by a phone call? Under any circumstance, perhaps? And if you do, what should they expect to hear on the other end of the line?
Yeah, email. The only time we ever email you is if you've sent something into us. Sometimes we'll send, and you've provided your email. Sometimes we'll send you an email asking for maybe a form or something like that, but it doesn't contain any personal information. It's not requesting. It's actually saying, hey, you filed for disability. We still need a medical release form. Here's a link to it. Send this. You know, print it out, send it to. That's the kind of emails that we send. Otherwise, it's usually mail, especially if we're going to call you at some point to ask you some questions. We're going to send you a letter, an official letter first. So be watchful. I know some people kind of pitch their mail to the side, but you know, do watch for Social Security mail. But you know, the other thing is we do have periodic medical reviews, and so you know, every 3, 5, or 7 years, we're going to send you a package if you're on disability, saying, hey, we need some updated information so that we can do a medical review. And but again, this starts through the mail, and if we can't get you through the mail, we'll start phone calling you.
Yeah, and if you're for whatever reason not sure about something you receive in the mail or a phone call, take it, look at it, and then make a call yourself to the number downtown, or visit it yourself, and they'll either confirm for you, yes, ma'am, we did send that to you, or no, sir, that's not us, don't do it. And so you can confirm it yourself. You just take your time and make it separate, one other call on your own to take care of it. I just can't beat that enough. We should talk about it every time you come on, because when people do get taken, these are the most vulnerable. They're trusting, they're on a fixed income, and it really. Josh, thank you. You're awesome. Yeah. Appreciate you coming on. We'll see you again in a month.
I will do it.
Back with more right after this.